Creating in the image of God versus creating for money. This is the first, obviously, episode of the BTS channel, the behind the scenes channel, and I'm going to talk about what I want this channel to be, why this is being created in the first place. This won't go live for a few days because I want to batch five of these-ish videos together and post at the same time. But today, what I want to do is I want to talk about how I started creating content, what kind of content I want to return to, what kind of content I enjoyed creating, what I want to do again, etc. So I want to go through why and how I started creating content so you understand what happened in entropy or transgression for the content to become what it was, which I don't think is my best kind of content that I created. So in short, if we actually go back, this is a Slack that we just started using again. This is the original Daily Bread Slack. So Daily Bread, the name Daily Bread, I came up with that from the biblical reference, the Lord gives our daily bread, the Lord's Prayer. One of the things that I've always thought God blessed me with is a really cool last name because I can play on the pun of daily so well. And Daily Bread used to be originally just these long form videos that I would record in either Loom or Zoom locally, and then I would just upload to Slack. And then originally it was $1 a day, $1 a day, $7 a week, $28 a month. I play with a lot of billing options straight up just because of the operations of it. But it was almost always just $1 a day or 50 cents a day if you wanted to buy a year, etc. And I loved it. I loved these. What happened is that I wanted to start to get more statistics on who was watching these. And so I started using my camera. Actually, I'm sorry. We did it the way we were doing it on Zoom, uploaded to YouTube, got the YouTube statistics when we put the YouTube listed links in here. And then I realized on YouTube, the quality of Zoom looks so bad that we needed to start actually creating it with 4K cameras. And so we started using our DSLRs, and we actually had operational lag. The operational lag with the 4K, I started saying, if we're going to put this much emphasis and work into it, let me actually start to make these better. And so I started really but sitting down and trying to teach something in these videos rather than documenting. These original videos, if I screen shared and really showed you guys these are videos where I'm going over my workout for the day, what I'm reading that day, what I'm working on that day. Sometimes it was at the beginning of the day and what I wanted it was like a beginning of day report or an end of day report. It wasn't meant to be a YouTube video. I've always said these were my journals that really were meant for me to look back at down the road. And I'm starting to again. 2 years later, this is May 2024 and it's now Feb 2026. I'm looking back at these and I'm starting to recognize wow, number one, lots changed. Number two, this is what I've learned. This is what I hadn't learned. What happened is when I started using the camera, operational lag came into play. I started to try to teach to make those more worth it. And then eventually I realized, why am I not putting these on YouTube? And so that is why, if you go to the if you haven't done this before, go to the oldest YouTube videos. And what you'll see are these were the original Daily Bread style, right? And we're going to, one of the BTS things that we're going to talk about soon is the camera work that goes into the certain types of channel psychology I want to get into. That's going to be something that I show you guys after we get into the hopefully neat and gravy of today. But you can see there's no ND filter. The focusing and not the focusing, the framing on this is actually really poor. Unless that's just the framing on this is really poor. We're going to talk about all the channel psychology I want to get into and everything like that. But if you go to this video and you watch this video, it's the original version of me just documenting what I did that day, what I was working on. That's what the first videos were. The reason this is important to say is because this kind of content, number one, I call this journaling content. And if I wanted to really make a mechanism of how to create content online and become like a YouTube coach, I would say this is the only way to create daily content. And there's a lot of people out there that are saying, create really, really good content. You don't need to create a lot of volume. And I would just beg to differ. If you're brand new to the game of creating content, if you're a business owner, if you're trying to create content for the sake of changing the world, whatever it is, the only way you can create really good content is by creating a lot of content. And so I think obviously the people who are saying only create really good content are the people who are trying to tell you how to create really good content. The only way to create really good content, the only way to be really good at anything is by doing a lot of it. 10,000 hours, right? Nakamura said it best. So anyway, the reason I'm saying this is because if you want to create really consistent day in and day out kind of content, I think the only content you can do like that is journal-based content. Content that is not supposed to be trying to teach someone something every single day or entertain, but it's just something about the behind-the-scenes BTS example of what you're building, what you're doing, actively thinking out loud, whatever it is. And I love this kind of content. This is the content that had little resistance. I could literally do this on a MacBook. I could do this on my phone. I felt like I could easily just spit this out. There was no production quality, educational minimum requirement for me to post this kind of content. It was just, before I leave, I need to post my 20, 30 minute, whatever I felt like talking that day, piece of Daily Bread. I had no care in the world about how many people were inside of the Slack space. I think it's also important to note that when I started these end of day reports, I obviously knew that these were nurturing assets, but that's not the intent that I had behind them. I really wanted to do this for me. And so I was aware of the fact that they were nurturing audience, but I wasn't focused on that. I didn't care about that. I didn't care how many people were in at first. Obviously, I went to YouTube because I wanted statistics. And I wanted to know what it was doing, right? So I changed, at some point, my heart posture changed for this. But at first, I was creating this out of wanting and desire to create. We're made in the image of God. Going back to the very beginning of this, we're probably going to be like the headline or title for this video. I don't know how I'm going to do the titles yet on this channel. We're made in the image of God. We're made to create. The very first thing God does in the creation story is, not in the creation story. The very first thing God does in the Bible is he creates and he models creation for us. And so we're made in his image, in his likeness. And one of those things is that we're made to create. We're made to create out of, this is why children are a gift of God. They are a model of how love expounds life, not expounds life, but gives life. Probably miswording this at the moment because I'm not in theology mode right now. I'm in like journalistic mode. But the way I'm saying this is that the ultimate form of creation is life, right? And so God created us. He gifts us with the ability to create life in his image when, father and mother create beautiful children in a family. And that kind of is a symbol toward the Trinitarian God creating all the life that we see today. The reason I'm saying this, if you're not a biblical kind of person, then we're going to get back into the meats and business side of this. The original creation that I was recording was for fun. It was for me. It was from like what a lot of books would refer to as your inner garden, right? So the inner soul, garden, heart. I was creating out of that, and I loved it. I enjoyed it. I could do it every single day. I did not burn out. And I want to go back to that kind of content, that journalistic kind of content. But in the process, to tell you, to go over like the degradation, is that a word? The entropy of the channel, if you will, degradation. What happened is I started, posting this kind of content, this journalistic kind of content. We'll go back to fourth or reverse order chronologically, Z to A, whatever the name for that is. I was creating this kind of content, and then you can even see here, close versus GHL. This is just a question about tech stack that someone was asking in Daily Red. And then I started, Unfailing as a Man is one of my favorite videos I've ever created, but I started creating content just based on what I did that day. And then eventually, because I was putting this on content, or on YouTube, I started to feel this pressure to make people want to engage with it and learn from it directly, not indirectly through what I was doing, but directly through something I was trying to teach. And eventually I started getting into these like sit down talking head videos. And I think part of it is that like example, given how $1 million per month companies do less sales and more marketing, I enjoyed that video and I wanted to talk about it. And there were certain times where I did a sit down. It was a very natural progression where I just started doing these sit down videos where I had to teach on a subject. And what started to happen is if I didn't have a subject I wanted to speak on, then I couldn't create a video that day because I created this box around me, which is like, unless I'm going to teach something, I cannot record content. And so eventually I got to this point where I was having trouble creating content from the heart. I started to try this season 2 thing again, and God started pruning me and changing my heart all over again. All to say that eventually what happened is I got to the point where I couldn't just sit down and create content because I wanted to. I really had to sit down and create content either because God was putting something in my heart, which we're going to talk about in a second, or because I wanted to sell and create leads, etc. Which is why this behind the scenes channel was the business channel. It still has the business logo. We're going to change this shortly. And I created all these like doc sales assets, which ended up working. We got clients from these, but these were so inauthentic, so dry, so not fun. And they required a lot of work for something I didn't enjoy doing. So throughout all this, what I found, gladly, I'm blessed with the knowledge of recognizing and what I enjoyed and what I didn't enjoy, what worked and what didn't work. They all really actually went tandem together. What I found is that I really enjoy certain types of content and I don't enjoy other kinds of content. The one thing I definitely can tell you, the reason for this channel to get into this 11 minutes in is I don't want to create any more kind of content. I don't want to create content anymore that I don't want to create. I talked to Iman a while ago, and one of the things, I gave Iman, I forget if I was on the phone with him or if I was sending voice notes back and forth, but I commended him for the fact that he's been creating content for so long, so consistently, because it's not as easy as it looks. I think you have to create content to recognize how hard content is, right? So I'm sending him this voice note, and he replies with, content is one of two things. It's either creation and passion or it's marketing engine. And I think what I started to do is I created this out of marketing engine, and I don't need to. That's the thing. I started to create this as a marketing engine for my business, and I didn't enjoy the style of marketing engine that I was creating. And I took something that was passion and turned it into marketing, and it felt eh. The other thing that happens when you're doing stuff like that, no matter what anyone says on YouTube, if you want to create content that sells, you can never make your content with the full effect that you want to, because you have to have some kind of line that's held back for people to be able to apply that information or whatever, be it in your paid stuff, right? And so realistically, the other side of this is I want to create content. I'm going to get to the thesis of this channel now. I want to create content that I want to create, and I want to create content that's sufficient in its own. I want people to be able to watch the content and say, I never need to work with Paul, and I'm happy at the engagement I have from just being a viewer with Paul. That's all. I'm happy with that, especially knowing with all the stuff I'm going to change in business, which I'm going to talk about in the next 2 or 3 days, the next 2 or 3 of these videos. All the changes I'm making in business have nothing to do with, I don't want anyone to feel like they have to buy my stuff because they want my content, or to fulfill the need that my content kind of gaps in their heart. They now need to buy my stuff. I don't want to do that. I just want to create content that is breathtakingly valuable. And in some cases, it's going to be showing how I'm thinking, like this channel is showing what I'm doing. Or on the main channel, we're going to talk about the duality of YouTube channels and what the whole YouTube scheme is tomorrow. It's going to be just either lessons I can teach on content, or via content, I should say, not on content. The reason that I'm saying all this is because I want to apologize for all of you guys. If you've seen the main channel, if you've seen the business channel, I just haven't done a good job at creating authentic content that's valuable. I haven't done a good job at creating content that's valuable to you. I hope that the Tele editor thing that we're using Tele to record this stuff, by the way, which is why it's not like complete 4K, it's compressed 4K. The goal of this is lack of operational lag. This is something we're going to talk about tomorrow as well with the schematic on how I want to do YouTube and use editors, etc. Today is more like overall macro blueprint. Or let me rephrase, today is more overall content, I should say, but that double take, let's see if that stays in or not. Okay, so content that I've enjoyed doing, right? So where are we? Also learned I enjoy types of content. Blitzkrieg Business was fun. If you haven't seen on the main channel, so on the main channel, we have this Blitzkrieg Business video, which is just a GDoc that I went through. This video originally, where is it? This video originally, so many things we're going to talk about. Example given, I made this thumbnail, and it's got one of the highest CTRs of any of our videos. A few things I want to discuss. Number one, this Blitzkrieg Business video was originally supposed to be a lead magnet that I was going to use to get people inside of the Daily Bread Slack group a long time ago. And I started creating it. I spent like a week on it, and I dropped it for a year. Just didn't touch it. And then a year later, I'm like, ooh, this is good. Now I'm on YouTube. I'm like, let me make a YouTube video out of this. And I spun it up into a GDoc. I tailored it for YouTube and such. It wasn't GDoc, I should say. I tailored it up to be fully transparent with you. I wrote the entire thing. In this 1 year difference, AI becomes a big part of the workflow for writing. I use AI to change a lot of the semantics, if you will, as part of the grammar, and a little bit more than just grammar. Also fill in some of the historical bubbles. And I just recorded a walkthrough of that GDoc. I think the presentation of this is incredibly boring, but I think the information and the story is really good, which is why it worked so well. But I enjoyed this. I really enjoyed this concept. And I honestly think that I could probably recreate this video, use animation and B-roll and like documentary style storytelling. And I think this could be easily a multi-100,000 view video. I think the retention graph on this shows that, because realistically the CTR is high, the retention's terrible, still has decent viewership compared to a lot of the channel. I really enjoyed this. Other videos I really enjoyed. These are archived now, but I did this podcast series a while ago. I did not enjoy the vlogs necessarily so much because I don't think I enjoyed the process of the vlogs, because my videographer, who I love dearly, Ollie, and I got to spend a lot of time creating these together. They were fun. I don't think my life is at a place where I want to do vlogs just yet. Daily Thoughts, this podcast, I really enjoyed podcasts. This form of podcast that I don't enjoy are interview podcasts. I just don't think they're fun. Panel kind of conversational podcasts, like the example that I want to use here is the Studio MKBHD's Studio podcast. Very good panel podcast. I think that's an example of something else that I enjoy the concept of or doing based on the small little paneling that we did before. Other videos, like Why Most Christians Are Poor. I would say that if you're in business and believe in God, watch this video. It was a fulfilling video, and it was, but it was not the heart posture of it was not as fulfilling, because it really was. This video was just something off the cuff, and then God just took it. But there were videos like Why Most Christians Are Poor that really felt like I had this stuff in my heart that I had to get it out. And I cannot just create these on a whim. One of the comments on these is like, Paul, you found your niche. The problem with that niche is that if I create videos like this, they have to come from the heart. If they don't come from the heart, they feel inauthentic, and I don't want to make those. An example of that is that if you're a Christian and believe in God, if you're a Christian in business, watch this video. Where is it? Right here. If you're a Christian in business, please watch this. This video did not feel like it came from the heart authentically. I really tried to manufacture this video. And the viewership's not terrible by any means, but I would not go back and say that I want to create more videos like this. I did not feel as great about that video as I felt about other videos about setting goals or pride in business or whatever be it, right? And so I really enjoy heartfelt businesses or heartfelt Christian videos that are fulfilling. And so if I think about it, what I really want to do is I want to create 3 types of content from here on out. Number 1 is raw journalistic kind of content, which is partly what you're seeing right here. Number 2 is prepared or educational thesis kind of content, which is Blitzkrieg Business, content that I can actually spend 1, 2, 3 weeks writing to create, or podcast material where it's, again, that panel kind of podcast. The way that we're going to act that out is on the main channel. What you're going to see is really 3 main types of content. Number 1 is raw sit downs, which is, if you went back, these are your, raw, no real edits, B-roll, etc. videos where it's just me talking to you about something that I'm learning, something that I'm seeing, something that I'm feeling, some wisdom that I'm having, whatever it is. It's just me sharing that. I want people to feel like they're in the same room. Again, this is Channel Psychology. We're going to get into this tomorrow and in the next few days. But I want people to feel like they're in the same room with me. I want these to feel personal, and I want these to be life-changing. I want you to watch these videos and change your life, change something about how you operate in business based on a faith perspective. So that's the raw sit downs. Number 2 would be heavily educational but prepared theses. So Blitzkrieg Business, but again with a more entertaining type of medium of displaying the information. So instead of a Google Doc, I want to do something where it's truly storytelling based. I don't even know what that looks like yet, so I can't break that down further. That's going to be something that we talk about, and this is going to be one of the think out loud things I'm probably do tomorrow. Is like, how do I want to portray that? And then number 3 is podcast. And so one of the things I'm going to work on is I would love to have a panel kind of podcast, but to be honest with you, I just don't. I want the main channel to be around Christian entrepreneurship, solely Christian entrepreneurship. And so if you're a Christian entrepreneur trying to understand how to tie your faith in further into business. That's what I want the main YouTube channel to be. That's what I think God wants it to be, which is why I think I want it to be there. I want to align my will with his. And in that, I want to have a Christian entrepreneurial podcast. I have no idea how I want to go about that yet. I do know that I don't have a podcast where I'm just interviewing people. Side note about podcasts, just because you know me and I like tangents, I don't think that a majority of people do podcasts correctly, meaning so many people are starting this new podcast thing, and I understand authority hacking, and they're trying to get guests on so that the guests following sees this podcast channel and then tries to watch more podcasts, and eventually the podcaster hopefully steals some of the audience. But I think a majority of these podcasts that are just interview after interview after interview, they're dry. Most people who are interviewing guests on a podcast suck at interviewing. It's just the same questions over and over and over and over and over for every single time that guest comes on to a podcast. The only reason that a good guest would actually come on to those is for short form content. The podcasts that I would enjoy watching would be podcasts, and I don't watch a lot of podcasts, but I do watch a handful that are around topics, meaning if it's around a certain area or niche, I don't care if there's a guest or if it's a solo or if it's a panel, whatever it is, if it's around this one thing, because I feel like I'm just furthering my understanding of an industry by hearing this hour-long on 2.5x speed podcast on this one topic, right? And so example given, this is why I get in a studio with MBKHD, NKBHD, I keep saying that incorrectly. I anytime I'm trying to learn about tech or camera or just studio equipment, whatever it is, because I have a big love for this kind of stuff, I feel like when I watch that channel, I not watch that channel, just listen to the podcast in the car, I get better at my craft by hearing that channel. Doesn't matter if they have a guest or not. It just matters that the topic is there. That's the kind of podcast content, if you will, that I want to start looking at creating soon. The BTS, the behind the scenes channel, is going to be these raw documentary kind of journal-like videos where to me, this reminds me of the original version of Daily Bread. That's the purpose of this, is to be the original DB, going back to where I can create these videos every single day, Monday through Friday. Like a journal, I'm going to miss some days. That's the goal. I want people to be able to tune into this every single day and make a living out of it. But for me, I want to be able to just sit down and know there's no friction in me getting in front of camera. I can tell you today I did nothing, or today I did all this different stuff, and it's going to be a longer video. Sometimes it's just going to be me thinking throughout the video. I want to just show, again, behind the scenes. I want this to be something where I am just portraying the brokenness of my mind and sinfulness of my humanity that I have and am, and just showing you that. That's the goal of this channel. And the cool thing is that these videos can be forced. I can force myself to do these every single day because there's so little friction. Whereas all these videos, I can force myself to prepare these educational videos, but I don't want to put myself on a timeline for these. Same with the raw sit downs. When it comes to these raw sit downs, I cannot manufacture these. These have to be something that God has put in my heart. And I already have a lot of videos that God has put in my heart that I need to create that I've just been disobedient or not obedient in, that I'm excited to create. Videos that I might turn some of them into like educational ones that are prepared, but I definitely have some raw sit downs that I can hit out quickly. But these are videos where if I don't feel these, I don't want to create these. I don't want to try to manufacture videos like I did with the Christian CEO, Darren Christian in business. Please watch this. I can't say, even though I feel like I pioneered if you're a blank in business, please watch this. I feel like I pioneered that title and I still can't really say that off the cuff. Don't want to play that video. Okie dokie. Whew. That's it for today. So tomorrow, I want to go over channel psychology and duality, the brands of Paul Daly on YouTube, at least the psychology and how we're going to portray different versions of Paul, if you will, or not different versions, but kind of, I hate using this example because obviously this is so much less important, and I am made in the image of Christ, but I am not Christ-like. I try to be a little mini Christ every single day. I'm, of course, Christian mini Christ, but the way that the synoptic gospels paint out Christ or paint out Jesus are from different perspectives, and that's what I want the different mediums of content to do in terms of painting out a full depth to the brand that is Paul Daly. And I said Paul Daly in quotes because in third person, because I really don't look at myself as being someone brand worthy, but the goal of what I'm trying to do with this community stuff that you'll see in the future, I think that's like an aspiration of, I almost differentiate myself with that Paul because that Paul is way better than I am. And so I want to talk about the psychologies of how we're creating that, the duality. Each channel / medium needs to fit into the overall brand of Paul, but is uniquely in its unique style / way that creates depth. And then I have a CTA for you guys today, which is interaction. Meaning, I want to create a new practice on this channel where there's going to be, obviously on YouTube, a comment section down below. I would love for you to comment down below with anything. Feedback, questions, tell me I'm an idiot, tell me you like something, how can I help you with something in business, faith questions, theology questions. I just want to point out that I'm not a pastor and I have not gone through seminary or anything like that, but questions. And are you coming to know God? Do you have questions about God? Do you have questions about how to read the Bible? Whatever it is, I want to talk to you down below. I want to make this channel a channel that also is interactive. I want to know you guys and gals. I want to know who you are. I want to know what you're struggling with. I want to know, however I can help you. I want to help you on this channel. And so I don't only want these to be journal based, but I also want these to be dialogue based. It would make me so happy. So if you want to leave a comment down below with anything, that's my CTA today. And that's pretty much, just so you know, going to be the CTA on almost every single one of these videos. Comment down below. And what I'll do is I'll answer that comment or question or feedback or whatever be it on the next video, which is going to be tomorrow's video. But because specifically these 5 first videos are going to be banked, what I'll do is I'll probably answer all these comments and such on what I would say is comment on the latest video. Deal? Now the CTA is foggy, which means you guys won't do it. But whatever gets commented, this is getting really messy. I love you guys much. Comment on one video. I'll go through all the comments. Love you guys much, and I'll see you soon. Adios.